Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is William White. I am the Technical Manager for ARDEX Tile and Stone. Today we're going to be showing you the ARDEX TLT shower system. So joining me today, I have Mr. Tim Aheimer. He's the Field Marketing Specialist for ARDEX Tile and Stone Division, as well as Mr. Bryant Bushman Jr., who is one of our technical field reps. So anytime that we're using a shower system with a pre-made shower pan, it's always important to check and make sure that our substrate is level first. Got a good bubble on that, Tim? Looking good, dead center. Even on this stage, nice. So now that we know that our substrate is perfectly flat, if it wasn't, we would have to do some substrate prep because the pitch is already made into our pan, so we want to be sure that our water drains properly, so we do need a level substrate. So we could use self-leveling, we could do some floor prep, but we would want to make sure it's level. So our first step, we're going to be doing one of our new offset linear drains for this installation. And our first step is going to be installing our wall board. So the wall board is a cement coated XPS foam. So the foam itself is waterproof. And what this is going to do is provide us a completely waterproof shower that is warranted. So traditionally, putting up backer boards, something like that, you still have to apply your waterproofing, and you're having to touch the same thing multiple times. What you're gonna see here is literally in a matter of minutes, we're gonna be able to complete the entire shower assembly. So our board does go up with a screw and washer system. So it has a washer, and what that does is it kind of dissipates that screw a little bit to actually hold that board secure. There we go. Tim, let's just get a couple in the corner and we can move on to our other wall. Perfect. So he's gonna go ahead and get a couple screws in the corner, and then we're gonna use our TLT 700. This is a modified silane sealant, and that's gonna go anywhere where board meets board. He'll need sealant first, Brian. Sealant in the corner first, guys. There we go. So Tim is just going to apply a nice bead of TLT 700 sealant right there in that corner. And what that's going to do, it's going to make a watertight seal in the corner. Now we are going to apply banding over top of that, so it gives us kind of a belt and suspenders approach because the sealant's making it waterproof as well as the banding making it waterproof. There we go, finishes that up. And now we just slide our board into place. There we go. And now he'll just finish screwing off this wall real quick. There we go. So with our shower system, we're showing the linear pan here. We also have center point drain options. We have a variety of different finishes on the drain. So with our drain box, I'm looking, this one is a chrome. We also have a brushed nickel. We have a flat black and a bronze as well. So we can coordinate our drain with our plumbing fixtures. There we go. Let's just send a couple more in there. Perfect. Well done, Tim. Looks good? We're good. So our fastening schedule is going to be every 12 inches, and of course 16 on center, just so we line up with our studs. So the next step, we're gonna go ahead and grab our pan, and we're gonna do a dry fit. Now, it's really important to do the dry fit just so that we can make sure that we're centered up with our drain before we actually go any further with the assembly. Tim, as you're looking down that drain hole, how do we look? Nice and centered on our drain? Perfectly centered? It's almost like you built this to be perfect. So once he's got that in there, he makes sure that everything's perfect. The next step, and I've got a couple of the drain pieces here that I can show you what the next step would be. So we would go ahead and assemble to the back of the drain. I'll show you here, they're just gonna start actually thin setting the drain together, but we have this hub adapter. This piece is already incorporated into the pan. We have a gasket that goes between them, so there's no glue needed with this system. And this just threads together. So this is what we would assemble on the bottom side of the pan. Get that together. There we go. And so what's built into our hub adapter is this is a push-fit connection to attach to a standard 2-inch drain pipe, whether that's PVC or ABS. It just slides together. So again, no glue needed for this assembly. So Tim's using, I believe he's got some X65 mixed up, Tim? X65 Lite is one of our newer mortars. So the X65 Lite is an ultra lightweight mortar. We're talking a 30-pound bag that gets 102 square feet with a 1/4 by 1/4 notch. Here, Tim's using a 1/4 by 3/8 notch trowel for the substrate. We have Bryant over here, and Bryant's just flat troweling the entire back. Go ahead and cover across the drain as well. We want to make sure that that drain grate is very well supported. Perfect. Nicely done, Tim. So I'm going to show you an optional piece. So we actually sell our drain assembly for a traditional mud installation if preferred. So we sell the drain cradle assembly, trough, and drain grate separately, so that if you're a traditional mud guy, you can still install a linear drain with a flange on it to then do a topside waterproofing. You're gonna need a little bit more mud there, Tim. He's bringing it around for you. So some of the advantages why they're using X65 here is we have a really long pot life. This mud is good for 3 hours in the bucket. So it just makes it really easy for these guys. They can mix it up way before our demo, or if you're on the job, you can mix it up down in the garage. By the time you get upstairs to actually start your install, your bucket hasn't fired off. Nicely done, Tim. So as soon as these guys get done spreading the last little bit of their mortar here, Bryant's catching up with him, flat troweling the back side of our pan. Nicely done, Tim. There we go. So our next step to our installation is going to be, we're going to run a bead of, again, of the TLT 700 sealant right against where the board, the wall, and the pan meet. And so again, this is creating that watertight seal. We could also do the side of the pan, like here, Tim's having to reach a little bit. We could also do it on the edge of the pan if you're in that situation where you couldn't quite reach. And with the adhesive, this is one of those situations where more is better. You gonna reach over the top?
I can.
You're like a magician. You can reach through the walls. Upside down and backwards. Nicely done, Tim. You've done that before. Do you want to come around to this side to hit that other wall? Bryant, we just about good on the pan? Nice. So the pan, you'll notice here, does have a built-in flap because our drain is so close to the edge of the wall. So this is one of our offset drains so that we can get that drain really close to the wall. We also have retrofit kits to where it will go in for a tub replacement where the drain's a little bit off the wall, typically 6 to 8 inches. Looks like he's ready for a pan. There we go. I gotcha. Just like that, drop the pan in place. Now I do recommend once you place that pan that you kneel on it, walk on it. You do want to bed it into that mortar to make sure that that pan has good support underneath of it. Tim, looking good?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
All right. Go ahead and walk it in a little bit. All righty. So our next step, Tim, are you going to do banding or are you going to do our curbs next?
Well, I was going to do some curves.
Curbs next? Okay. So with our curbs, Brian, can you hand me the short curb for a sec? Yep, short curb. So our curbs are made perfectly square. Now I know some people like to have a little slope to their curb. We can actually just build up a little bit of mortar on that outside edge, and if you wanted to set it perfectly level, we're good with that. If you're the kind of guy that wants to have a little pitch to it, you just build a little extra mortar to that outside edge with your thin set and press it into place. Good to go? So our curbs, they come in several different sizes, 4 foot, 5 foot, and 6 foot. That way you can order them for the size of shower that you have. Tim's just applying again the TLT 700 sealant right along that edge. So the curbs are super easy to modify. The wallboard, easy to modify. The pan, easy to modify. We can use any woodworking tools, so a saw, like a hand saw, even a utility knife for cutting these. So we don't need a grinder necessarily to cut this like you would with a traditional backer board. So Tim's just going to apply a little extra mortar here on our front edge to go ahead and bed our curb into. Nicely done. There we go. So we went ahead and left this curb a little bit long. Tim's just going to mark it and show you how easy it is to cut. So Bryant, the next thing we'll need is the handsaw. Just lay it down for him. There you go. There you go, guys. So Tim's just going to flat trowel the back of the curb just a little bit, just to make sure that we get good adhesion with our curb, lock it into place. There you go. So with our shower pans, we do have standard sizes. One of the other things that we can do is we actually have the ability to create custom shower pans. So if you send us, if you send us your measurements, we would just simply measure from the center of the drain to the wall, center of the drain to the wall. Our pans are actually made in Rossville, Georgia, so not too far from here. They're made in the USA. And we can ship you a custom built pan. Typically the turnaround's about 10 days on that. So if you're in a situation where maybe the pan has a funky shape and you're worried about having actually proper slope, or let's just say that a perfectly centered drain doesn't work because maybe there's a floor joist there and the drain is offset, that way we can make a custom pan you don't have to modify. You can actually walk into the job and just drop it and it will fit perfectly every time. Press that one in. Perfect. So Tim, you want to show them how easy it is to modify that and cut that curb to length? So just using a small wood saw, we'll watch and see how easy this is to cut. Just like that, nice and easy. So again, the wallboard cuts like that. The pan, so say you got your pan and you needed to trim it just a little bit. Same thing, you can use a utility knife, you can use a skill saw, anything that you would typically use for woodworking will work to modify these as well. Brian's just putting a little bit of TLT 700 on there. We like the TLT 700 if you notice. We use it all over this pan. There you go. And so Tim's just going to spread a little bit of mortar here on our last curb. There we go. Okay. So the curb can go in any orientation. The curb can actually be trimmed, it can be modified. That's one of those things that, some people like to make their curb maybe a little wider. If it's retrofit and the rest of the curbs are wider in the house, we can actually turn it the other direction so that you have the 4-inch or the 3-inch. Tim, let's go ahead and get that set and we'll jump to our banding real quick. Go. All right, so we're going to go ahead and set that curb into place and jump into our final step of our installation, which is going to be doing our banding. So the banding is our final step, and that's how we're actually going to tie our wall and our shower pan together. Yeah, so let's just do one long one across the back, and we'll just peel this one back and go ahead and thin set it into place. So once the pan assembly, once they finish up with their banding, that's a step they're going to work on now. Our next step to complete our installation, we would actually back up our threaded down tube. So we're going to back that out. And I'll show you how the drain actually goes together. There we go. So with our drain, we give you a variety of these spacers. We have a couple different thicknesses. We can stack these, but these spacers would simply go into the trough, and what that's going to do is these are going to match the thickness of the tile that you're using, so that once we assemble the drain, so then the drain drops back in there, that would adjust the drain up and down to match the thickness of your tile. We go ahead and thread it back together. Just like that. And then the finished drain grate drops in. So again, these finishes can be matched to the plumbing fixtures, chrome, this one's satin nickel. We have flat black as well as bronze. As well as a tileable drain as well, because I know a lot of times with the linear pans, people want that tileable drain cover, so we have the tileable drain cover as well. So as these guys wrap up with the banding, I'll open it up. Any questions about the TLT shower system installation? We're good? So Tim just spread a little bit of mortar on his wall junction there, and he would just flat trowel that in. We would go ahead and do banding at all changes of plane. So we would do it where the wall meets the pan, as well as the wall-to-wall connection, and that would complete our installation. Ryan, how are we doing on time? Just about good? I'll turn it over to you, my friend, if there are any questions. No? All righty.